Hello winners! So with all the status builds I put together, I've always wanted to consider the possibility of a sleep build. Now, I can't recommend this to you at all, it's pretty bad, but it is kind of fun in extremely narrow cases. So I am immediately able to sleep on my first hit basically. I am using the great baggy element file switch axe just to apply that 45% additional status. I'm doing a counter wake up with the barrel bombs. If you do not know about this, this works if you hit a weak spot on the monster. The hit lag allows the barrel to trigger your counter. So Seething Bazelgeuse is one of few monsters weak to sleep. The others are much smaller targets like Poke. The major thing that this build shows though is how quickly status can be built up on switch axe with status trigger, getting a second sleep already with just a couple hits. Small monsters are the worst for sleep. They constantly break my barrel bombs, or if you've seen my element video, they move my targets away from my barrel. So, they gotta go. The build itself is basically my evade paralyze build. I took out the master's touch and filled in adrenaline rush since I just sharpened every sleep. But honestly, this build isn't doing good damage, it just sleeps a target. With sleep attack 3 and the status augment, I reach about 44 sleep on my build. And since I'm using an element file, this increases that by 45%. So anytime I do apply sleep, I apply about 64 on a regular hit and 45 on the file bursts. With status reactive, a full morph combo applies about 550 sleep status, which is a decent amount considering Seething Bazelgeuse caps its resistances at about 962 sleep status. Getting the third sleep here, some legits still want to ruin my video. When planning out whether or not this would work, I was wondering if I would have enough barrel bombs, and fortunately, I do have enough materials to last the whole hunt. There's something about hunting a Bazelgeuse by constantly waking it up with explosions that is just kind of funny and ironic to me. I decided to use a shock trap here just to build up to the next sleep and get the next Bazel and rage quicker, since a roar is a really easy way to proc status trigger and then apply a ton of status. But comparatively without status trigger, it can really be seen how much slower it is to apply status without it. I ended up being barely short of sleeping Bazelgeuse in time, but one more hit is all I needed to reach sleep number 4. There is kind of this weird amount of time where you can keep hitting the monster before it completely falls asleep. So this experiment ended up being a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. But if you're asking anything like if this is practical for other targets, basically no, and honestly, if you just brought ice to Seething Bazelgeuse, it might just be dead already. I just find this kind of experimentation particularly fun, and status has some really unique opportunities in Sunbreak. Teaming up with a greatsword or something like that could be really fun too, but the sleeps do get harder in multiplayer. I misread this attack pretty bad here, but luckily I am able to use wire step again just in time, getting that status trigger procced and then applying just enough status to put Bazelgeuse right back to sleep. But the answer to, can you sleep a monster constantly over the course of a hunt? Probably a bunch of times, but not quite like I am here, as Seething Bazelgeuse's cap is comparatively a lot lower than the others. I think this could probably work for Afflicted Seething or something like that, but that's probably as far as this goes. Capcom seems to be very careful about statuses like sleep and paralysis. There's always a significant trade-off and a lot of difficulty to having something that can just lock down the monster for the majority of the hunt. The nerfs to pet status is a pretty good example too. I miss the old days of Palamute paralyzed dogs. So again, I barely miss the last bit of sleep I need to apply here, and Bazel decides it's time to fly around. But a quick counter makes for a cinematic but also pretty funny moment for the Bazel to fall asleep here again. So now at sleep number 6, over 3,700 sleep status has now been applied in just a couple minutes. Status trigger does scale to more relevant statuses though. I regularly run status trigger on my poison build, and with the Thanatos Serpent reaching 77 poison with poison attack 3, it's not surprising why the target is poisoned the entire hunt. I think the build can probably be built on Frostcraft with being able to sheath between sleeps, but I was not committed enough to reroll all my build to boost augments just to try it here. Though if things continue as they have into Title Update 5, I bet Frostcraft will be augmentable or even a decoration. This sleep is taking a little while longer. We are at the sleep cap now for Seething, so this is as difficult as it gets to sleep the target again. But of course it doesn't matter. I apply so much sleep with this build that Bazel simply cannot stay awake. But we're near the end here. It's fun exploring how far you can take sleep, and I may consider exploring other kind of creative possibilities for another video. I have another video already in the works to discuss element on switch axe, which I'm excited to finish up, so stay tuned to the channel if you like what you see. I regret not putting down the trap and just capturing the Seething Bazelgeuse here. It seemed pretty fitting for the video if I just put him to sleep with the capture, but I didn't do that. I'm a big dum-dum. Some cool looking status trigger evades as I chase down the Seething and finish the hunt. Some big growth and views on the channel this past week, so if you're still here, big thank you for checking out my channel. We're approaching 2,000 subscribers, which just isn't something I thought would ever happen. The channel overall has had some pretty rapid growth, and I'm still getting used to it all. But I am expecting to have regular uploads return to the channel. Hope to see you in the next one, hunters. Thanks for watching. Take care.